bunch of misfits I ever said either.
Good morning, Misfits. You are tuning in to another episode of the Misfit podcast. On today's episode, we are going to do a full breakdown of the 2025 CrossFit Games programming. Plenty to say about all kinds of different things relating to the programming. But as usual, before we get started, a little bit of housekeeping and live chat. Housekeeping, very straightforward. We are in phase 0 right now doing our baseline testing for Misfit Athletics for our competitors. And you can get that programming at Strivey or Fitter. Hit to the link in bio on our Instagram page to get signed up for any of our programs. We are right smack in the middle of a affiliate programming phase right now. A lot of quote unquote fun days are happening out in the gym.
Disagree.
And there's some fun ones upcoming. I don't know if it fits my schedule, but that burpee C2 bike piece, I'm real scared of the burpees.
Even Mark, you see a text thread, even Mark came out of the woodwork for that one.
Yeah. I don't know if Mark, if you're listening to this, if you're going to be able to catch up after those later rounds of burpees.
Told him.
We shall see. And I'm not talking about catch up to me, by the way. That's not a very high standard to hold yourself to.
That's all right. He was thinking Heinz ketchup anyway, so.
Yeah. So yeah, teammisfit.com. Click on the sign up now button. You can get a 2-week free trial on push press, sugar wad, or stream fit. I think that's about it. If you want a t-shirt, go to sharpentheaxeco.com and fucking buy one. Do it. Hunter,
Nice.
Life chat. What's up?
Man, not much. I don't really have a whole lot that's enticing in any way to a podcast listener because I didn't play golf very much this weekend, which I know everybody's usually just waiting on the edge of their seats for. They skip directly to my live chat to hear about golf, but wasn't a whole lot of that happened over the weekend. It does turn out
fitness chat.
What's that?
Anything going on in the personal fitness realm? Stuff you've been doing in the gym? Any fucking nasty boys? You've been fucking skipping stuff? You've been all in?
No, I've been skipping stuff as needed for sure. Cherry picking the hard workouts.
Attaboy.
No, maybe a relevant conversation topic is I'm still trying to figure out my week routine and schedule as far as training goes.
Sure.
My current plight is that I don't want to work out on the weekend, mostly because I don't want to come into the gym unless I don't have to on the weekend. And if I do have to come into the gym on the weekend, it's usually for work, and I probably don't want to stick around for additional time to work out. So it's like, okay, well, you've got Monday through Friday to work out. I can usually, by Wednesday I can say, I'll do Wednesday, and then I need a rest day. The problem is that I'll do Wednesday, I'll need a rest day on Thursday, and then by the time Friday rolls around, either I'm still sore or I'm the motivation is maybe a little low.
Sure.
So last Friday, I to say I mailed it in would be I scaled the power clean weight. I did gymnastics kipping, chin over bar pull-ups instead of chest to bar pull-ups, which is not to downplay the idea of scaling or just, throttling back when needed. But that's been multiple months of just I'm probably only getting legitimately 3 really, really solid training days. 1 less than optimal one. And then
why not rest Wednesdays?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question.
And then why not go for a jog on Saturday or Sunday?
So I have been when I came, I mean, a lot of the times Saturday, Sunday is just I got a 4-hour round of golf that I play at some point on that day. And then other things, dedicating another hour to supplemental exercise is take it or leave it sort of thing.
Right.
I did get back from a weekend with friends. So was kind of a degenerate on definitely Saturday, mostly Friday, and got myself some hill sprints. My apartment complex sits on top of a hill that is just conveniently about a 1 minute's hard run from bottom to top. So
that is a good hill. I know
that is a very good hill. Very bad hill. But yeah, I mean, you're all very valid points. A lot of that is just I'm in the gym all day on Wednesday. So I feel I need to take a break and go work out or something like that. I just need to, it's just been I think I have not optimized for training Monday through Friday super well.
Yeah. My suggestion would be a step goal on Wednesday, not because you need a step goal, but because it can take you out of the gym. So you could,
like a walking step goal.
yeah, like, hey, I'm going to get 12 or 15,000 steps today, and that will probably scratch that itch enough, get me out of the gym enough, and have me kind of ready to go. If I take a rest day and I know that I'm going to have a tough time doing a zone 2, I set like 10, 20, 30-minute walks throughout the day, and that definitely makes a difference.
Yeah. I did take your advice and I've done a couple of like zone 1 sessions. So just
same
like
concept,
lower
right? Yeah.
intensity. It's a combination of like a little bit of a motivation thing. It's like, I don't really want to sit on a machine for 50 minutes, 40 minutes, whatever. This class workout is going to take me 20 total minutes, 10 minutes to warm up, 15 minutes to execute, that sort of thing. Sometimes it's like, this class workout looks fun. Like my affiliate athlete brain says like, oh, do that workout. It looks fun. Seeing the program, knowing what's coming up makes that a little bit easier. But ultimately it's like, my fucking goose is cooked by Thursday, and then motivation on Friday is low.
Yeah.
Want to get my work done and get out of work if I can while the sun is still out at 8 p.m.
My schedule's the opposite. It's changing, which is good, but I'm more like I have during nap time Saturday and Sunday a window to like get whatever I want in for training.
Yeah.
So it could be a long zone 2. It could be, whatever style of training that I want.
Yeah.
I was the morning guy with Carter for 2 years, and just switched. So I just basically don't have time to do my job. And I found that me working at night, which I've been doing, is like, I'm just not really there in the same way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think my like cortisol, blood sugar, my natural rhythms, like there's something really weird about like, I feel like nothing is happening in my brain first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
And you would think that means it would be harder to work. But for someone with ADD, it's actually nice for the noise to be turned down. And it happens for like a couple hours in the morning. And I can fucking cook from like 6 a.m. to 8 a.m.
Work.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So on the exercise side, I found that getting home by 5 o'clock, like a true cool down and like not rushing, I can't take the 3:30 class as often anymore.
Yeah.
Like it just really does not work for me. So like, do I start taking some 9 a.m. classes? And like when I was younger, I didn't like working out in the morning because my scores were worse. And like, fuck now.
Right. Yeah.
Like
yeah,
I really
sure.
don't care. So I'm going to start experimenting with that a little bit and see how that goes. And then part of the other thing with it can be like when I work out like later in the afternoon or the evening, I'm also kind of cooked after. Mm-hmm. So I have this idea in my head that like if I train at 9, that I'm not going to be as productive at like 10 or 11, but I don't think that's actually true.
For me, the earlier in the day that I work out, the better my overall day is. And I would include going in as early as like the occasional time I'll take a 6:15 class, which I haven't done in a little while and probably should.
I'm like marginally tough in the morning when I train. If I train in the evening, dude, I'm fucking like, I know that I'm there for like every movement in a CrossFit workout is a checkbox.
Yeah.
Get this done. If you have an expectation, you're going to be mad. So
Yeah.
I just like I'm done at that point. Like,
I came in last Friday it's the like personal schedule thing is just like a tough thing because it's like any day that it makes sense for me to come in early in the morning, I was either at the gym like 8 hours ago.
Sure.
Like, I get home late the night before, I eat dinner at 8:30 or 9 p.m., which is terrible. Like, I hate that. And then to like have to wake up and either like if I go to the gym and work out, I'm going to miss breakfast because I'm not going to go home, eat, come back in time to coach. And then like similarly, like if I have the time to work out in the morning, like I probably am going to be at the gym until 7, 8 o'clock that night. So it's like now this is a super long day that I just doesn't kind of interest me. But yeah, I just need to.
I'm
probably
jealous
part
of those
of me
people
is
that
just
have
like
the fucking tote bag with all 3 meals in it. How do they do that?
I know.
That would
Kyle
never
fucking
happen to me.
eats dinner here, and I'm like, part of me is like, why don't I do that? And there's like, well, you could meal prep I like to cook. I do like the down regulation at night of going home and like preparing a meal.
It's more enjoyable, that's for sure.
And I understand there are people who don't like to cook, and like, man, maybe I need to start not liking to cook, because I could eat like between classes at the end of the night, and that might open me up in the morning to be more flexible. But yeah, I don't know. It's just like,
also,
it's moments
have you ever
like
tried to meal prep for multiple meals for like an actual stretch of time? It is a crazy amount of food. Like when I meal prep,
so dumb.
I that shit's gone quicker than I expect.
Yeah.
Like the amount of work that you do when you're meal prepping, you're fucking get this pot on and that pot on, and you're checking on this and you're checking on that, and then 3 days later it's all gone. You're like, the hell did I even do that?
Yeah. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna make this as efficient as possible. Pours chicken into crock pot, hits high 4, walks away, and it's like,
that's why I need that flat top, so I can knock out like 40 chicken breasts.
Dude, Blackstone or just that would be sick.
Because like Traeger's great, but it takes 7 hours to turn on.
Yeah. It's just, and it's honestly like it's those situations or that I'm like thinking about where it's like, if it's like this hard for me to get motivated to go to the gym like 4 or 5 days a week as opposed to like 2 or 3.
Yeah.
And like I've been doing it for a long time, and it's my job, and I work literally steps away from the ability to go exercise, and the motivation is still like occasionally difficult to come by. It puts in perspective like the parent who's got like 2 kids is, works a desk job for, a legitimate 8 hours, and then like has to try to find time to go to the gym and also do all those other things. And I've got half of those responsibilities, and the motivation is still like, can be tough to come by. So it just puts in perspective someone who's like, hey man, get off my back for not being for only being in the gym twice this week,
Sure. Yeah. That's hard to reconcile though. Like for me,
for sure.
I have to set very clear lines of what my priorities are, and like that is probably gone from like, priority 2 or 3 to like priority 5. And I'm okay with it, but the like expectations is part of the issue that you put on yourself.
Sure.
I have a significant amount of workouts where I have an expectation going in and it does not pan out the way that I want it to, and it still bothers me more than it should.
Right.
It's like, I know that showing up as a like business owner, husband, father, doing all these things is my priority, and it kind of has to be. But like, why the fuck can't I hold my paces on this bitch work piece?
Yeah.
Like, it makes me want to quit the workout when it's hard to get myself to do it.
I can't do this. What the fuck am I doing here at all?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is so like backwards and asinine, and not the advice that I would give other people, which is why people,
exactly.
That's why people need fucking coaches. Throw that out there.
Even coaches need coaches. Like,
exactly.
Yep.
True.
Yep. That's the fitness where we're at right now.
Yep, indeed. All right. So I have a quick
you skipping
little...
your life chat?
I mean, I was going to talk about my new schedule and trying to figure out when I was going to train. So we kind of had the same one.
Okay, got it.
Intertwined there. So I did not go to the CrossFit Games for the first time in like 15 years. Something fucking wild like that. And it made me think of 2 reasons why I wanted to address it. The first one being like, it's not like a political statement. We have to travel so much now with World Fitness Project and all the different, I don't even know what they're called, sanctionals, semifinals, regionals, in person.
Super regionals.
Exactly. Community Cup. So it didn't have really anything to do with like a political thing. It's like, hey, I want to stay home with my son and my wife and not travel as much. But that also makes you think of like last year, like what happened at the games last year. And just so you guys know, I've actually tried to record this solo in the past and have not been able to do it. So I'll attempt to do my best right now. I use WhatsApp for some remote coaching, and I haven't talked to enough people on there for the bottom row of WhatsApp to still be my conversation with Laza. So I see it every single day, which, like I think that's kind of a good thing. You know what I mean? When you're trying to make sure that you honor and remember somebody, and on certain days it is, a little upsetting, to have that there, and you go back into that headspace. Everything that went down last year was challenging for me, I think, on a different level than certain people, than kind of fans of the sport, trying to parse out what it means and what happened and all that. I considered him a friend. I talked with him fairly regularly, and it's kind of funny. There's the joke of like, at my funeral, don't say that I like lit up the room. Like everyone says that at every funeral, because like I just wasn't that person. And I can identify with that, being a little bit more of like a wallflower in social situations. But people should know that he was an incredibly unique and special individual, just based on something that like I'm fascinated with that I call range. The things, there's usually, when you're gravitating towards a person, there's usually a reason why. It's a particular attribute. It's something that they do. Oftentimes it's something that they can do that you cannot do. And he held multiple versions of those things that I think would normally be in competition with one another. The way that he spoke about his family and spoke about his brother and spoke about the people that he had made connections with in the community, very open and vulnerable and just like a very passionate, kind individual. And he was also a like absurdly tenacious competitor. Like the way that he could switch those things on and off blew my mind. And I'm not the kind of, like, he brought out in me, like I told him that. I was like, the way that you are with your brother is just like, I've never seen that type of relationship. It's like prototype big brother, like looking after their little brother, you know, going over and kissing him on top of the head after an event, you know, just like checking in on my relationship when I was coaching Luca. Just absolutely incredible. And then when he was looking for a new coach, we had a conversation about like, hey, where do you think I'm at right now in my career? What could I get better at? So I like put together this document, and I don't remember exactly what I had in there for like, because his goal was to stand on top of the podium. I don't remember exactly what I had in there, but it was like 5th, 3rd, 1st or something like that. And he immediately responded and was like, fuck off, you're way off, I'll be on the podium like right away. And it was just like the perfect, like it was this like challenge sent to him immediately, even though he asked for that information. Immediately was like, fuck off.
Yeah.
Like, I will be here. So I did not go to the games for that reason in particular. But I also, you know, like the idea of it just not being brought up again, considering who he was as an individual and the impact that he had on other people and the example that he set in a bunch of different ways, is something that I will personally never forget. Just such a kind of striking individual in those ways. And I've crossed paths with a lot of people that have one or the other of those attributes, and can honestly say I don't think I've ever met someone that held just that idea of being like a almost like a warrior, and then like having like a softness to them, which is really cool. So yeah, something that I've wanted to say for about a year, and tried to record it and kind of wasn't able to, and have had some space in between. And yeah, man, just that was a rough experience, obviously significantly more rough for other people, but something that I don't want to just not bring up and not talk about. Like, he should be remembered for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I only interacted with him a couple times in the athlete area. Obviously the year prior. I don't think it was 2 years before that, but yeah, I think that like
2022.
Yeah, that like almost like a shepherd type archetype.
Mm-hmm.
That's the big brother, like you said, the big brother vibe. A level of maturity about him that was like the right combination of like, I'm a competitive athlete and like I can turn that on and really get after it and really like dive into that side of him, while also, like you said, kind of having that like he can pull that mask down a little bit and have just a very normal conversation with, again, someone like me who's not particularly close to him. Like, we're just kind of interacting in the back area as Misfit coach and athlete, but it was very like just a very like friendly, like two bros having a conversation sort of thing for someone of his caliber. And just like, he's also, how old was he?
Mid-20s.
Yeah, like that's what I assumed. Just super like mature, kind of beyond years to a certain extent, whether it's a cultural thing or just like that's just how he was. Who's just a very, just not the kind of guy you obviously don't wish that sort of thing upon anybody, but like the last type of person you were like, God, fuck, like why does that happen to that kind of guy?
Yeah, just the not something to joke about, but the joke of how people are remembered. And it's like there are people who are truly at that level of like, you know, the taken too soon is such a fucking understatement.
Yeah, absolutely.
In terms of what I sort of, you know, witnessed with him. All right, let's talk about something that matters significantly less. The programming at the 2025 CrossFit Games. I would like people to go to games.crossfit.com and just pull the workouts up. One of the things that we've done in the past is sit here and fucking read workouts, take up 12 hours of the conversation, and it's literally just us reading. So how about we don't do that? So basically what I've done here, and I'll clean this up and maybe make a graphic out of it if people are interested. But what I've done here is, I think it would probably need to be a separate episode, but like what would I do with this information to prepare someone for the CrossFit Games? But this is how I break things apart to try and write the best program for someone that's prepping for a specific event. And I don't know if you remember last year, Hunter, but I went like full nerd mode on every data point that I could find from the CrossFit Games history to write Paige's prep for 2024. And there was a noticeable difference in her, you know, what she was able to do. And one of the things that we did was really dissect time domains in energy systems and what they're attacking, because there are, for those people that think that CrossFit is like random and kind of all over the place, the CrossFit Games are something kind of specific when you really take a look. So like, if we want to, we could start with the movement. So basically broken up into monostructural gymnastics and weightlifting. You're kind of, I tried to do, Hunter, some of the nomenclature that like everyone knows versus ours when it comes to this. So basically I have it broken up into, again, MGW, but then how often did it come up? And then how often does it come up in relation to previous years? So for monostructural, we have running 3 times, rowing, double under crossover, ski erg, burpee box jump over, C2 bike, burpee box jump over again, and echo bike. Out of those movements, the run, row, burpee box jump over, and echo bike are like guaranteed every year. So like when we're looking at that, and we're looking at our movement tracker of, okay, what goes into this Metcon, like how much like dedicated bitch work are we going to do, monostructural conditioning are we going to do related to these things? Like if you go to the movement tracker, since 2019, they've ran 23 times, and the second movement on that list is thrusters at 8 times. So like is like something that is, you know, really, you know, like, okay, like that shouldn't even be in green related to those other things. It should have its own fucking category. Yeah. So we're going from maybe running 1 to 2 times a week to like, it's kind of mandatory to have 3 days a week of running spaced out, hopefully by, you know, 48 hours, roughly, something like that. But like logging your miles in each energy system is so fucking important related to this. So if that isn't part of a program leading into something like this, it just doesn't make sense.
Does that include things like running Isabel, shuttle run, like run legless 10 rounds of run legless rope climb?
I don't
like
always do it. If I feel like it's a transition, I won't do it, but I did include the running was really important in running Isabel, which was cool to see.
Yeah.
So it's 5 by 200 feet. It's 1,000 feet. I don't think I've ever written 1,000 feet for volume in my tracker. But that was there. So if I feel like something is a throwaway, I'm probably like, I won't even necessarily put it on there. And then from there, the only one that is sort of just common is the ski erg. Like if I go to the movements here, where's the ski? Ski has been
17.
programmed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years in a row. So you start to have that trend of like, I'm going in and it's like, okay, so it's not up there necessarily with running, but 5 years in a row is a serious trend. How is my athlete on the ski erg, right? And that's kind of a polarizing machine. I know a lot of people who are great at it, and I know a lot of people that suck at it, and I don't know that many people that are like decent at it. It's a machine that needs to be trained if you're not necessarily good at it. And then if I had to guess, the echo bike is got to be up there on that. So that's basically the second most programmed of the monostructural.
I've seen that so much at the semifinals level.
Exactly,
as well.
right? So that's where we would continue to back this out. We see it at the CrossFit Games, we see it at semifinals, so we know that there is a larger, like if we're looking at programming for people that just follow the program. If you have any possibility of making it to another sort of part of the season, that has to be a big part of it. And that's another one that's super polarizing. It's a very unique machine, given the resistance level on it. You know, you can't adjust the damper, that sort of thing. And, you know, talk about logging your miles, logging your meters, whatever. That machine requires attention. Yeah. Like, it's really hard to get better at the Echo Bike in a short period of time if it's not just like beginner's gains. And
in like all of the time domain and therefore energy systems that it requires. Like, we see it in sprints. Right. We saw it with the like bike, the, you know, power snatch Echo Bike last year, sprinty. Like, it's a little bit, what was it in this year?
It almost feels like doing the endurance work on it almost always feels like testing versus training, because you can't,
yeah,
you
sure.
get into a rough spot early and then it feels kind of the same the whole time you're using it. Whereas, you know, you're on a run and your RPE's kind of slowly increasing as you go. You have to mentally prepare for that. The Echo Bike is unique in that if you looked at someone's heart rate graph of like them running versus the Echo Bike, it's like, this is not the same.
Yeah.
Or in a particular training piece at least. The movement that comes up but not very often is obviously the double under crossover. So that's just the kind of movement where it's like, hey, there was enough time. I think people wondered whether it would come back because I think that was a Boz programmed thing.
Yeah, it was.
So good to see, I think, just a progression on athletes, you know, sort of improving on something. And I guarantee you it's fallen off a lot of movement trackers. You have a couple years where something doesn't show up, people don't practice it. And I think that's why they, for the sake of the show, gave them the warning that it was going to be incoming.
Yeah.
This is like a week or two for a high-level athlete to figure something like that out.
Sure. How much of that do you think was a, like, progression in the sport? Is it like a theatrical thing? Is it like, hey, this happens to be the first like first CrossFit workout of the games. Sure. Like, let's throw something fucking cool out there. I am glad, like, you know, you can say what you want about it, but it's really the only, like, you know, kind of like movement that's slightly off the beaten path in the programming this year. Everything else are things that we've seen. We talked about kind of the nature of this year being very kind of traditional CrossFit.
Yep.
And it's like,
I actually don't think if the programming is in a vacuum and it's siloed and it's not for anyone, then you could talk about it. But whether it's, we would say cheese dick, pardon my French, whether it's cheese dick or not, to me, relies almost solely on the execution. So the programmer needs to know what's possible. Because I would say over-programming an event with a traditional movement is just as dumb as programming a skill that people can't do. So that's the way that I look at it. And honestly, for the most part, pretty impressed. And then one of the questions on the live stream of us talking about the events was whether I was surprised or not that some of the athletes still can't really do them. And that brings in this conversation about NARPs in CrossFit, right? Like, we've worked with athletes who have a work capacity that'll fucking melt your eyeballs. You just can't believe how fit they are. And then either due to certain genetics or a lot of times just the lack of ability to like suck at something and be okay with it. Like, that's oftentimes what it is. But NARPs can't do movements like that. And there are some NARPs in CrossFit. And I'm not saying that like it's like fixed, like you can't overcome something like that, but you can tell when you look out there, like, I bet that person was probably good at soccer.
That kid played sports growing up. Yeah,
right?
like that kid played
that
sports
kind of
for a long time. Jason Hopper played high level something, right?
Yeah, exactly. So that's how I think about that. And then something that was new to me today, honestly, like if you had quizzed me on it, I don't think I would have been 100% certain, but the C2 bike showed up for the first time ever for individuals. And thinking about the amount of volume that people do on that machine, and it's essentially never been programmed, is interesting, right?
Dude, don't get me started on the C2 bike. I get itchy thinking about it. My affiliate light bulb burns out. I have to replace it like once a day. Yeah, I was surprised when you told me that too, and then thinking back, I was like, the only immediately thought went to the killer cage in whatever 2010 2011 where they had the basically a Peloton, like a watt bike. That was sick.
God, those things, I remember we wanted one and they were like $1 trillion.
Yeah,
like, you go to their website, it's like the Tour Tank. What?
It is surprising though, and I'd be curious to know if it just like if there's a reason that the Echo bike is leveraged so much harder over that machine. Is it something silly like a sponsorship, like a
Sure.
financial thing?
I mean, Assault
they use the rower,
obviously. They use the Assault bike a ton. But yeah,
what was the runner? What brand? Do you know what brand the runner they used on for?
Yes.
Albany
So Rogue
trip?
has a partnered runner with Woodway.
Woodway. Okay.
Yeah. So the original, the Woodway Curve, and if I remember correctly, that was the company that sued someone in the space because they had a patent. So I don't know if it was Assault or if Rogue had tried to make one or what the deal was. But there was some drama related to that. And the times were definitely slower than you would expect for like if they were just running outside, that sort of thing. But as a lot of people know, that's a unique stimulus, and pairing it with a deadlift is a sassy decision to make. Having to pull the treadmill with that. All right, so gymnastics, in terms of the kind of no doubters, we have the toe to bar, handstand walk, chest to bar pull up, bar muscle up. Really cool thing about that is, goes back to what you said about the Echo bike, but tenfold, is those are movements that we all got to be good at, right?
Yeah.
You got to be good at them if you want to do well in your affiliate class, the local throwdown, the open, every single thing. And having a level of a relatability, I think is important for people to watch and understand kind of what's going on there. So those are things that are programmed at the games basically every single year.
Yeah.
The pegboard, deficit, handstand push-up, not necessarily the deficit, but the pegboard, the handstand push-up, and the rope climb. Some variation of those things are programmed most of the time, so I have those in yellow. Those would be quote-unquote common.
Like rope climbs. Surprised that's not green.
Yeah, it's only green if you combine rope climb, legless, and seated. If you make it one category, but it actually doesn't come up as often as... I just think there are so many iconic rope climb moments in games history.
Yeah, for sure.
That's like one of those, like, I don't know, like Mandela effect. Like, oh yeah, they do rope climbs 3 times a year, and then you go back and look, and that's not the case. That was one of the more surprising things when I first started the movement tracker.
I feel like you just always see some variant of it. It only comes up, once a games, but it's like, is it the thick rope? Is it tall? Is it legless? Is it seated?
And then our been program, but not that often list is just wall walks. Second time it's been in there, thrown into the programming as a buy-in. I'm guessing they wanted more shoulder fatigue in that workout, and why don't you make them fucking start the workout with 20
Yeah,
wall
I mean,
walks.
we talk a lot about how it's like, it's very much, it seems like this year, I think maybe one thing that did stand out is like a little bit more balance between pushing and pulling versus what we've seen more recently, which is a shitload of gymnastics pulling, pull up, bar muscle up. They got a pretty good dose, whether it was
5
I don't think it's
3.
necessary to test people with like a 100-foot handstand walk with a triple pirouette backflip in the middle to 86 freestanding handstand push-ups. Like, we can still just like 100-pound dumbbell on a single side overhead, great handstand walk, great overhead lunge, great. Like, there are a lot of traditional movements that can do the same thing as like that to induce that kind of shoulder fatigue. The wall walks, like, I always wonder how much intention from like, because you could see that there's a little bit of like, if, when quarterfinals was a thing, it's like, if we saw the movement in the open, we're probably not going to see it in quarterfinals. When you go from quarters to semis, like, the difference might be the fact that like, hey, the heavy lift, you're not going to do the same heavy lift that you did in quarters that you do at semifinals or online, whatever. I do wonder how much Castro looks at like, okay, we did wall walks in the open, and therefore, like, we kind of covered that movement at some point. From the open to the games is obviously a big leap, but you wonder how much like thought goes into like, well, we did do this movement at this level and this level for this year. Like, we don't need to include it in the programming at the highest level this season.
Yeah, the one thing that he's always done that I think is incredibly important, especially since CrossFit hasn't controlled every programmed workout in the season, is when you look at this list, the things that stick out are the yoke and the single dumbbell shoulder overhead and the double under crossovers. But almost every movement that's in here is very traditional CrossFit and is essentially just put into a test in a way that makes it appropriate for games athletes. So we have these competitions, whether they're affiliated with CrossFit in any way or not, where things are just so fucking over programmed.
Yeah.
You know, it's like a circus show, like that kind of thing. And it's like, no, we got toes to bar, handstand walking, chest bar pull-ups, bar muscle ups, squat cleans, front squats, deadlift, snatch, thruster. Like, we have all these movements. We have running and rowing and skiing. We just have all of these things that are in there. So in my mind, part of it is creating more context for more individuals to be like, yeah, you didn't like those sets of 4 wall walks, huh? Watch these guys do 20 in a minute 40.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That sort of thing. So I definitely, you can tell from the first 2 levels of programming, so this year it'd be open to an affiliate semifinal, that what you're saying is definitely a thing, right?
Yeah.
Like we've done bar, muscle ups, now it's probably ring, like that sort of thing. But bringing that context back around for a wider stage when you can still have a good test, I think does a lot for the sport and tells a better story.
Yeah. I think that like, especially in a time when the games are becoming so far separated from the affiliate relative to what it used to be, and the like athletes training, you know, less with like your regular everyday gym goers and more like truly as independent competitive athletes. Seeing programming where the green movements that we have here, like run, row, bike, burpee, super often, toes to bar, chest to bar, bar muscle up, handstand walk. Super often we get to weightlifting next. It's like snatch, thruster, deadlift, like some of the most foundational movements that you see in CrossFit. Hopefully tells like the affiliate level athlete or maybe even the aspiring competitor just how necessary and important it is to be really fucking tight at just the most basic movements and just to have capacity in them in like every different time domain, movement combination, all that shit. So much less about, we've got, I always pick on the deficit handstand push-up, but like I need to do my seated legless backflip rope climbs and triple unders to be ready for the CrossFit Games. And it's like wrong, bitch, run. Like you need to run.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yep. You've got 6 miles and then the next day you got 2,000 meters.
Yeah.
Lovely. All right, weightlifting modality. So for our basically every year, the complex was squat, clean, and front squat. Those are both very often programmed. Deadlift, snatch, thruster. Beautiful, right? Like those are our movements. Almost every year, most of the time, common, whatever you want to call that category, is the yoke. Definitely a like preferred simple strongman element that just usually, I don't know, there hasn't been a yoke. And maybe there shouldn't be, but there hasn't been a yoke focused workout. It's very much like, hey, we want to so going dark, you got the 50 cal echo buy-in, then the 100-foot yoke carry into the handstand push-ups. You just kind of want to fuck with your midline and get your heart rate up a little bit more for this.
Yeah.
I want you to, move the load, the long distance, like a very like visual representation of that concept. And then our not that often, but have been in the games, single dumbbell shoulder to overhead, back squat for the lift, and then overhead walking lunges. So again, one of the things that happens is people get fixated on these particular elements. And I've told this story before, but having a conversation with other coaches at the games after 2022, just because they faced a different direction in their handstand push-up and did a different version of jump rope, they were like, back to the drawing board, we got to change everything. And it's like, we predicted an 89% success rate of the movements in time domains. No, what they turn the other way?
Out with the bathwater.
Yeah, you don't remember that from back in the day where you were cool as fuck if you could face the wall in your strict handstand push-ups? So people get locked in on those things because they're the things that pop out, but only seeing a few of those red things that are in there, I think is a good thing. It's what we want.
Sure.
Let's talk about time domains. I don't know if you want to take the lead on this, Hunter, just we've got I did the first and last, and then if you scroll down, I did the average finish time for each one. I don't know how we want to particularly speak about it, but definitely something that's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the big, without just reading the chart here, what I'm seeing is I guess maybe the averages are probably, it's weird because so for example, so going dark, which has that the handstand push-up, 50 cal bike, 100-foot yoke, 30 handstand push-up, 100-foot yoke, 50 cal bike, 40 for the women. The spread from first to last is 30 deficit handstand push-ups wide, right? It's like fastest woman is 8:51, slowest woman is, I'm assuming that was a 15-minute time cap. I don't remember, but time cap.
One thing that was cool is they had
15
different
minutes.
time caps for men and women, which I think was
that's
important.
smart.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think generally and we can talk about this, is like there's two outliers, not outliers, but like, run, row, run. That's obviously the long one in the 50-minute time frame for men and women. The next longest workout is Albany grip trip, run, deadlift, handstand walk. And then everything else is essentially, say, 11 minutes or shorter, like on average. So, yeah, I mean, we talked
Almost
about this
every workout is 10 minutes or less.
Every workout's 10 minutes or less. And like, so I've got two, I'll go two primary reasons that I think this is the case. First off, and we talk about this anytime that we say, like, we talked about this a little bit last year with the Masters. I think the Masters last year was like, hopefully this is far enough away, but it's like, that was bad. That was just poor programming, in my opinion. That's like the longest somebody worked out was 18 minutes or something for a CrossFit Games. It sounds like,
some people did that workout in like 12 minutes, the long one.
Yeah, I've heard some rumors that Masters you're going to be running more than 5,000 meters at a time, which is great. But there's the element of one, it's like, is it a CrossFit methodology thing that it's like, hey, run, row, bike, swim hard and fast, like keep workouts short and intense. The majority of your training should be in that short to medium time domain with like a very high level of intensity. And ultimately, we only need to really test one singular aerobic event with the context of like, well, this is, a dozen, 10 events spread out over the course of 3 days. It is by kind of definition an endurance sport, and having, doing all of that work over that a period of time is like, that's like borderline an event in itself. Like you shake out one more 30 to 45 minute event is probably not going to move the leaderboard around all that much, depending on what it is. So is it a methodology thing, or is it, and I'm starting to wonder, like, because looking at the events, so if I think a fun, like, if you're a nerd about programming, would be to like take these events and reprogram them for your affiliate by making the weights appropriate and making, potentially the reps appropriate. But what I kind of noticed is like, I wouldn't need to change the volume of the events very much. Everything is like a reasonable, like within like extraordinarily reasonable, like kind of
sure.
Like within in volume, like the COVID year when it was like Atalanta, like 800 ring muscle ups, 36,000 pistols, a million handstand push-ups, whatever. It's like, that's inaccessible. That's like you're borderline just testing like how long somebody's muscles are going to last before they explode. At the highest level, like there gets to a point where it's like, we can't just keep adding rounds, adding volume to the workouts for these guys because they're so fucking fit that they can handle it. We have to lean a little bit more on the intensity side of things, and like the argument there is like, well, what? Just stick a machine in there. Like, just add a machine to lengthen out the workout. And then the question, it would be like, well, are we just adding a machine solely for the purpose of lengthening the workout, or is it like, no, this is actually a well-rounded test across the 10 events? Yeah, 10 events over the course of the weekend, and like, there's not a single workout in here where like an individual movement has like an egregious volume. If you were to, again, scale it appropriately for your training, maybe like, hey, the deadlifts, 60 super heavy deadlifts and 500 feet of handstand walking. But again, like that gets scaled to, the 60 deadlifts is not unheard of by any means at really any level, in CrossFit. So,
and honestly, that was more of like, in that specific event, that was more of like a strategic element. Like, did you run slower and go right to the barbell?
Sure, you spend by far the least amount of time.
Slow transition and then a bigger set. Like, it wasn't, I think it had ramifications. The fact that you did it fucked other things up, but it wasn't even though it looks egregious, I mean, that's a fucking axle bar. Like 60
Sure.
deadlifts at 350 on an axle bar that's no joke, right?
Yeah.
Talk about
Yeah, but
training
like
on
you
Monday and not
alluded
wanting
to,
to
it's
train
like
on Wednesday.
the running makes the deadlifting more difficult. The axle bar blows your grip up, which makes handstand walking more difficult. So it wasn't like we're testing the deadlift here. It's like it's just an element used at an appropriate weight, volume, and intensity for, you know, the fittest people on earth.
Sure.
For the affiliate, it's like that's a beefy day where it's like, you know, 5 rounds with 10 deadlifts at, you know, maybe 275 on like a, hey, we're going to get after it today sort of weight. So the whole point being in that, like, there are two kind of, one very long, one medium to long workout in the Albany grip trip, everything else being 11 minutes and shorter. It is 11 minutes and shorter, but there's also a pretty nice like spread of, you've got your running Isabel, obviously, in that really short sprinty time domain. There's a 3 to 4 minute, there's a 5 to 6 minute, a 7 to 8 minute sort of. So like we do have the spread covered well. It would be a cool question to just hear like Castro's thoughts on like, what is the actual justification for only the one long event? And I'm not even advocating for more of them. It's just we see it time and time again where like the majority of workouts are in that short to medium time domain. Is it a methodology thing? Is it a volume for the athlete thing? Is it just like is it a logistic thing?
For me, there's 3 things that come to mind. The first one is for the viewer, right? Like, how often is he chopping a workout down and removing the fluff that you referenced that could make it longer to just have the workout showcase what it is that we are intending to showcase?
Right.
The second piece is these are almost all medium duration workouts for everyone else.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and that's interesting because the idea of CrossFit and like there's a bunch of stuff from like old school CrossFit baked into the CrossFit Games that stays there. And the idea of like this amount of work takes you this long, watch this shit. This is crazy. It only takes them 8 minutes to do this. And this is like a 19-minute workout, right? Like that kind of thing. So I think that's part of it. And then the one thing that I've never done when I've gone through this is like I put the copy of the timing breakdown in here as well. And shocker, like we have, if you don't include the lift, 67% of the events are 10 minutes or less. The historical average is 62%. The medium is at 11%. Historical reference there is 21%. And then because there were less events at the games this year, that's part of it. But 22% were quote unquote long. And I think if you did the averages out, that would basically be the same. The thing that I don't know is in 2020 and 2022, they did 2 workouts each over 30 minutes. And my question would be, did that do anything to the leaderboard? Because that's got to be part of it, right? Like, do we need to insert this if we're going to get the same results? Is it necessary to either pile on the volume or XYZ? So I think that's kind of interesting that they've only done that twice.
2022? That was Boz's year?
Yeah, so was that the other one, the helmets? The bike toe to bar? Is that right?
Bike to work.
Yeah.
Yep, there was bike to work, and then there are the capital.
What was the other? Right, yeah. And we've talked about this a ton, but if you're a new listener, the question is, you should force the athletes to be ready to do 2 of those or 3 of those. You don't need to program them every year. You need to program them enough that they prepare themselves for it.
Yeah.
If the trends just keep doing the same thing over and over and there's no nuance, that's kind of boring.
It's also 13 events that year versus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
And I wondered with less events if it would skew in the other direction, and it didn't.
Yeah, I think there's probably a logistical element to that as well, especially with the 2020 year where it's like, I only have to worry about 10 people. Like, I can do whatever the fuck we want.
Yeah. There were bookends of like, hey, go run however many miles, and then jokes on you, do it again.
5/10K.
And then Atlanta as the fucking bookend. That's not going to be a final in an arena. That would be terrible. It'd be such a bad idea. So yeah, the part of the reason why I included this in the breakdown and as part of the context of the podcast is we typically spread out the time domains that we're looking for more often throughout the year. So you're going to see a fairly even mix of short, medium, and long in relation to each different sort of, like, we got metcons, we got pitch work, we've got intervals, that sort of thing. And it's relevant until the games. And then it's kind of not. And your ability to continue to do the kind of work and the kind of intensity that is required in a elite level 10-minute or less test is something that needs to be practiced. Your ability to go do that again. Like, we break things into double sessions or triple sessions, and we're telling the athletes that they got to warm up and cool down in training each time that they go do that. That is a skill in and of itself, whether you're only developing energy systems or mentally, like getting yourself the ability to get back to that place and what sort of recovery tools you need to do to be able to do that. So now basically just want to go through the events, talk about them a little bit, kind of one by one. So run, row, run. The nuance here as a coach is kind of fascinating because, like, what is your athlete's athlete IQ? Where are they at in their career? Is this their first games event that they're ever going to do? So their adrenaline's through the fucking roof.
They run a 28-minute 4-mile.
7-minute miles from the beginning. Come on, say it with me. And then they don't, because you feel good, man. I mean, it was 57 degrees out, probably a little bit of a breeze. I thought, and who knows how long the actual runs were, so I could be just off in that regard. But I thought the women should have averaged about 2 minutes less, whereas the men thought I thought the men were going to be between 46 and 54, so pretty close there. And then I thought the women would average around 54 minutes. And honestly, they were slower than I expected, partially like when you take out Kringle and Toomey. So that's definitely part of it there. But you typically see in endurance events, the women are going to be running roughly 7-minute miles and rowing at like a 2:05. But again, the nuance of like how do you warm up for this? How do you make sure you're pacing in the way that you need to? Like, you're not buying into the idea that you feel better than you thought you would until the final 2 miles, that sort of thing. So definitely a good test. We had a little bit of a joke internally here that some of the advice by the announcers was to put the damper up and have a lower stroke rate. It's like, not only is that bad advice in general, for this event specifically, it's terrible. And they were saying it while the people that were way ahead and then pulled further ahead had a way higher stroke rate than everybody else. You could see it visually. And part of it's just people trying to get Chris riled up, our resident rowing coach. So I just thought that was fucking like, okay, that's excellent advice. And I actually didn't hear them say it. Someone else did. So if they didn't say it, then, well,
CrossFit Games announcers giving bad advice to the general fitness community is just kind of like, that's just part of the CrossFit Games script. It's like, let's make sure we give horrendous advice just based on what athletes are doing.
The funny thing too is I watch it and there are like parts of it that are nuanced where I'm like, I can't believe they said that. And then I'm also like, who knows what I would say if you forced me to speak for X amount of hours a day, right? Like
but God willing, you've got like at least a little bit of experience to know that
very
question.
Good job. Yeah, exactly. So I'm like I do the live stream and I'm like, hey guys, am I supposed to be talking right now? And I like give myself the time to like cook up the thoughts that I have. So yeah, there's not, obviously it's a 50-minute test. It's a good test. It was really cool to watch Roman pass Jeff and then on the row, and then Jeff said afterwards he didn't think he was going to be able to catch him and almost gave up and sort of conceded to second. And then as they hit the turnaround for their final mile, and he just flew past him, which is like that you got to fucking dig at that point to be able to do that.
Yeah, I mean, what's more kind of neat for me to look at is just like the average time, and then just doing a little bit of reverse math to say like, and I don't know if you know the answer, like what the average row pace was, because then that you can just a little bit more easily extract like the average mile pace. But a dude rows at 150. They do their 3K at 150, and that might be a little conservative. That puts them at an 11-minute 3K. And for the average dude who takes 51 minutes to do this workout, that leaves you with 40 minutes to do 6 miles. And just the quick math there is like, got it. So we're running sub 7-minute miles, rowing at a 150. Women rowing at a 2-minute are still pulling right around a 7-minute mile or even a little bit faster.
Yeah, I guessed I was 16 seconds off. I guessed that the top men would run 6-minute miles and row at a 140. And they were 16 seconds off, which includes getting in and out of the rower. And that start where it was based on your open finish, which was funny because Tia was buried in the back.
That's
And
incredible.
had to sprint past everybody.
Yeah.
Yep. So 6-minute mile and 140 on the rower for 46 minutes.
That's the context a lower level athlete, affiliate athlete, whatever needs to hear. It's like,
Yeah.
I know you're stoked on those 130, 400 meter repeats. I'm gonna need you to do 24 of them.
Do it for an hour. Yeah.
And snack
exactly.
on a 3K row in the middle of it.
All right. Event 2, all crossed up. This one ended up at the highest level, which I fucking love, being a toe to bar workout. This was are you going to break, which almost everyone did on the second set of 30. And are you going to break strategically? Are you going to break because you are forced to? Because you could tell the difference between someone dropping down and jumping back up. And then that was too many toes to bar. Because it's like 2 sets of 30? Like, come on, not too bad. What do their hip flexors feel like after run, row, run, like that kind of thing? So I enjoyed that part of it. You could tell that it was one of the things that you could tell about most of these workouts is the ability to write a workout and then test it and then figure out what was missing and put it in and that sort of deals. That was something that at the highest level, you love to see the shiny movements be removed as like, we're all going to do these in a very similar amount of time, sans like outliers. This is a fucking toe to bar workout. Like, what?
That's pretty nuts. Yeah. It's a weird workout. We've seen the single dumbbell shouldered overhead. Like, that's a little bit of a wow factor with the weight, but there's just not that many reps, and we've seen them move that thing. I would have guessed that the wall walk had a greater effect on that, but it didn't. And I think the volume of crossovers was low enough that lots of different strategies allowed an athlete to get through 20 of them relatively quickly. And I'm glad that's not... It's like it can be. I'm glad it was it would be a movement where it's like if you can't do it, you're gonna find yourself at the bottom. But as long as you can do it, like you can get yourself in the hunt in other ways.
Sure, right.
I think that's how a weird movement like that should be kind of like presented.
Yeah. The only real snafu of the weekend was the climbing couplet. So we had the pegboard and then the complex with the squat clean on the front squat. Something was going on with
someone WD-40'd lane 5 again.
Yeah. The data that got put onto Reddit was very inconclusive.
Yeah.
So I will kind of put that out there. It was clear, though, that for some reason, certain ones were either drying faster or were slicker. There was something different about them. And the proof of that is... If Tia can't do something, something's up, right?
For sure, yeah.
Right? Like, that's the like, wait a minute, like, because I won't lie, we were doing the live stream, and when the women started out the way that they did in Heat 1, and it was 15-minute time cap, and it's not the kind of thing where basically there was like 4 minutes of work in that workout, or 5 minutes of work. So it's like, okay, what are the other 10 minutes? So you can fucking guess what the other 10 minutes are. So that was one where it was kind of disappointing because I like the fact that we get 10 pegboard climbs. So it's not like fast twitch guy or girl can fly up, because like the person who won that workout and put on the most of a show was Fisagafi, who stayed just balled up the whole time. Like 90-degree angle at the knee and at the elbow, up and down. Like really locked into this great position. And then you just had to wonder, you didn't really know what was going on with certain athletes. Like, again, Tia's the one where it's like, okay, something's up here, because like there are other athletes who are good at pegboard climbs and who are also notorious for having meltdowns in the middle of workouts. So like, who knows? Like that sort of thing. But it just didn't end up being like what it probably could have been. Like it would have been cool to see someone have to decide going into the 2 and going into the 1 when they were going to go back up. The shining moments, though, or watching the people move those barbells. And barbells, honestly, that would have buried people in previous years be such an afterthought.
Yeah.
And not only an afterthought, but like there were athletes who like took way too long to pick it up just based on like perception and then smoked the barbell. And it's like, your workout could have been 40 seconds faster if you had just known that you can clean 205 or 305. But like seeing them attack that barbell was just like another moment of like, this is the progression. This is the thing. So I would say probably the worst event of the weekend, but not for like, it was probably tested. It was probably programmed in the way that it should have been, but something weird was going on with the venue, with the equipment, with the, like, I can't imagine they wanted it to be shown that.
Yeah,
I can't imagine it went that way in testing.
It's literally going to be something as dumb as like, where were the fucking pegboards stored before they got installed, or like just dumb shit like that, which sucks.
Right. And the teams went before, so were they all,
just lubing them up for someone?
Exactly. Yeah. So you hate to see stuff like that, but it's kind of part of the thing. It's like something that's been dealt with in the past, with the sleds and all that. That is one thing from the movement tracker. No sleds. Crazy.
Yeah.
Like there's also the opposite movement tracker, right? Like, oh my God, what did they not put in there?
Yeah, a little less, not as much like strongman. I feel like there's usually, I think
no
it's got
sandbags
to do with the fact that it's 3 days. Yeah, no sandbag, no like.
No double unders, no GHD sit-ups.
Farmer's carry,
unders,
just the yoke sort of thing.
Yeah. Thankfully, no freestanding handstand push-ups. All right, my favorite workout of the weekend, Albany grip trip. I just love a disgusting time domain MGW triplet that puts everyone on notice. Like whether you're a CrossFitter or honestly, this to me is more like, look at this shit that we can do that you fucking couch potatoes can't do, right?
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of people out in the gym that can run pretty hard for 400s, pick up a heavy barbell and get upside down in some form or fashion. And that is when you separate yourself from the CrossFit community, fucking awesome. Like such a cool thing that we have 150 people that get upside down. Like that's awesome. So it was gnarly. It was really well programmed. It was definitely like there was some strategy and like knowing yourself. I think the strategies had to be varied for different people. Like I love handstand walking. I love running. I love deadlifting. All of those things are like there were a few people that loved all three clearly, but like all of those things present these different challenges based on what you're good at and what you're not good at. So it was just cool to see, like, is the first person off the runner going to be the first person to get back? They added the extra 50 feet to the final round, which was definitely a thing. There were some people that went all 50 feet in a row. Most people had to kick down, whereas the rest of the workout, they were doing a lot of it as 50 and 50, but like really kind of flirting with threshold and maybe racing another person. So I would say that was my favorite workout of the weekend. I don't like to do them, but I like a no man's land time domain with those types of events.
Yeah, I'd say it's also my favorite event, more because of just like, it's just a fucking classic CrossFit triplet. 5 rounds for time, 3 movements. One of them's a 400-meter run, barbell movement, like exact MGW, like you said. I was also like, I was watching. I caught a little bit of this event. It's such a small thing, but one thing I watched that I was like, that was kind of just like encompassed how impressive it was like I was watching the heat. Men's heat, and it was like the last handful of athletes finish, or they were on their last round, and a bunch of athletes had to go to singles on the deadlift.
Yeah.
But just how fucking easily a dude like hinged forward after 1.25 miles of running and 50 some odd other deadlifts, just muscle fucks that barbell, just stands it up. It's like, I can't do any touch and go because my grip's fucked, my hamstrings are fucked, but I will just like bend over and just stand this thing up like it's a broomstick. It was fucking wild, and it was just like like how it's crazy to see like the progress in that. I remember how many years ago was it that 3 by 3 rounds of 7 deadlifts at 405 was at regionals or whatever, it was like ridiculous, and now we're doing We got 60 deadlifts at 350 pounds, which might as well be closer to like 375, 400 with that axle bar. And just watching.
Yeah, this one's a hat tip to the people who pay attention. Not many people watching that event are going to understand. They just see the three separate things happening, and they see a race, and it's like watching your favorite sport with someone who likes the sport but doesn't like participate or something like that. Like there is a hat tip in there of like, dude, 60 deads at 350/220 with an axle bar and 550 feet of handstand walking. Oh, this must be a super long workout. Also, 2,000 meters of running. It's basically medium. That's what they're up to these days, right? Like, holy shit. This is just nuts to watch. 1 rep max back squat. There was some impressive shit going on. Did you see Colton's 570?
Yeah. What I saw was a leaderboard where like 20th place and above was like a 480 back squat for the men and like a 300, 280, 290 for the women. That's absurd. To like the 575 is like the number of men who squatted over 500, the number of women who squatted over 300. That's insane. Like we're bordering on like I'm preparing for a powerlifting meet, and these guys and girls are doing this, halfway through having just done 60 deadlifts at 350. Find me a powerlifter, an Olympic weightlifter who can match that, do anything even remotely similar to just the Albany grip trip workout, and then put that kind of weight on their back and actually squat it as well as some of these athletes did. It's so dumb. But we're like, I still want to see that. I still want that. They did the mile, the 1 mile and the 1 rep max back. I want them to redo that workout. I need to see that 5-minute mile, 500-pound back squat in like one event. You
could extrapolate it. They've never done it, but you could extrapolate it from last year to this year, because they did.
Which year was it? Last year that they did the mile and did they do the back squat as well, or was it just the mile?
No, it's just the mile. And then the only other times back squat's been in there is in the total. I think Ricky was right around 5 minutes, but that was it.
That's so dumb.
It is.
Yeah, I had that leaderboard pulled up with weight.
So yeah, that was fun. I honestly probably the most frustrated that I was as a coach with either the athletes going rogue or their coach giving them asinine advice. Like one of the worst strategic elements of the sport is not only having to deal with the fact that your athletes hate it when you tell them to lift heavy at competitions, but then the coaches either acquiescing to that or giving just really bad advice. It was just really annoying seeing some of the jumps that took place. It's like easy money for other athletes to jump 1 to 5 spots through being smart. But I mean, that's like athlete IQ. Obviously, we talk about it enough. It's part of the
sport. You think that's more a function of like not being able to see what other athletes are lifting, or just poor strategy?
No, so that's the thing. They knew they had all fucking day to wait in between, and they could see previous heats, and the coaches knew where certain people were at. Like one of the people that would have done like top 5-ish did a 60-pound jump for his last lift and failed it. What the fuck is that? Like, if you can lift that much, why didn't you do 4.5 in the last round instead of 470 or whatever the fuck it was? It's crazy. All right, so the next two, we got throttle up and hammer down, these sort of back-to-back. I don't think that note is correct. It says starting 7 minutes after IE 6, but it definitely wasn't a 7-minute gap. Maybe they meant at the 7-minute mark.
Yeah, I was going to say probably 7-minute cap and then starting at 7.
Probably what that was.
Probably starting 7 minutes after event 6 starts. So it would Yep.
So this one was kind of your classic sprinterval, but it's at the game, so they got to do it back to back, and they got to add a weight vest to one of them, that sort of thing. I will admit when I'm wrong. I thought when I saw the boxes laid out, I thought it was another like a cheese dick thing. Like, this is so fucking dumb that they're going to do 3 of these at each box. But by the time they had to do it again in the next one, the pacing of it all and the fatigue of it all was there to the point where it really helped tell the story of the event and like where people were at. But like when they were kind of fresh in the first one, and because they looked weird doing burpee box jump overs with vests, like you could see the vest kind of flying up as they jumped.
Yeah.
I was like, do we need this? But then I kind of understood. It kind of made sense after that. And if you suck at bar muscle ups at that level, you're going to be in big trouble. The capacity of some people on that movement is so silly, and it's just like the most stark contrast between I'm good at bar muscle ups and I'm not.
I did like super, super fast math on like the timing of that one, and I was like, 1.5 bike, 2.5, 3.5 to get through the bar muscle ups, 4.5, 5, 6 minute, 6 minute workout. And then it's like 4:17, 5:09. It's like, Jesus Christ. Different
game. Totally different game. And we saw it last year. They did the back-to-back to finish with the kind of similar thruster. And I think it was like thruster and chest to bar, and then thruster and bar muscle up with the back-to-back thing. And we used to see, if someone was going to win the event, they were going to do the call it the James Newberry of I'll take first in this one and last in the next one, and it'll get me more points. And then you see people at the top of both. And I mean, just the expression of in a vacuum, I can do this thing, but hey, guess what? I can also rest for 2 minutes and go do it all over again, even though I was at threshold, truly at the end of what I could do. It's just another huge thing of wow, the progression's there, but also you could program that at almost any level. 35 cal bike, 28 bar muscle ups, 24 box jump overs, even more so for the first one if you remove that vest.
Yeah.
And then you can again give people, if you dare to, give them context of what these people are up to compared to what they're up to. Right, going dark. We've talked about it a lot over the last few years, the obsession with the pulling gymnastics, not having as much shoulder to overhead, not having as much handstand push-up volume, that sort of thing. The balance was definitely more there this year. I think I counted 5-3 on the gymnastics side, which normally you get, if you can even call handstand walking. Yeah. Handstand walking isn't really the same thing. There are definitely athletes out there that are very good at handstand walking and not the greatest at handstand push-ups. So if you sort of looked at those two things, this was one where I think I have two main thoughts on this, or maybe three. One, I think they were finally okay with, we're going to make the fans watch them get stuck. I think they very much knew that this is going to take a while. And the funny thing is I'm talking 2 to 3 minutes for some athletes. So oh my God. But you just normally don't see, I think someone said Austin Hatfield joked that he was going to go unbroken on the handstand push-ups. Spoiler, he very much did not. Not even close. Had to go to singles. But you just don't see people like that standing around, especially on a gymnastics movement. So that's kind of part of it. The other thing is, because of the movement tracker, because of the lack of pressing, that ends up creating a trend of people not training that thing as much. So you don't have the prowess of the person who's unbelievable at muscle ups, legless rope climbs, more of these there aren't as many people that are able to do that. So the people who did really well in that movement very much seemed like outliers. Yeah. And it wasn't maybe directly as correlated to fitness as potentially some of the other movements were. There were some people on the, more mid-tier leaderboard that were closer to the top on that one, and then kind of vice versa. You had really high-level athletes struggle with that one, which is kind of a good thing.
I think it's appropriate and necessary. It just makes it's very much a test, right? It's is that a good training piece? Probably not, right? To get somebody stuck, I'd rather get somebody to build the confidence in multiple rounds and stuff. And we're talking about two different things here, but 30 reps with the parallettes, it's you can either do this or you can't. And I would rather see this kind of lower volume. Obviously 30 in the middle of a workout's pretty egregious, or is pretty steep, but relative to I'd rather see that than the what do they do with the, it's chest to bar handstand push up with a vest. I would rather see the deficit personally than a million kipping handstand push ups, or even strict handstand push ups. I'd rather see
quarter extremity.
Exactly. That quarter extremity thing. We can test the overhead strength and stability, which I think they did in other movements like the dumbbell shouldered overhead, the handstand walk, thruster, rope climb, overhead lunge, that sort of thing. And I think it's, whether it was intentional to force people to just watch these athletes stare at the wall, doesn't really matter. the purpose is to find the fittest person. And it's like, this is where we see that big spread of like, this workout takes anywhere from 8 to 14 minutes at the highest level, 9 to 9 minutes for the fastest, and almost twice as long for the slowest if we had let them finish. And again, it's just it's a reminder that it's a test. It's like, can you do it? Here's a large enough number that I'm going to know if you can bullshit your way through this movement, or if it's just like, nah, you ran out of stamina and like you're going to pay for it on the leaderboard. So
if you want to feel bad about your Echo bike, go do the math on the back half of that workout and how fast people did that. There were some absurd times, and they had I don't know if you saw, Hunter, they had the calorie counter in it. This year
I saw the digital rep counters. Did they do it for the calories too? Did it connect to the monitor? That's sick.
I don't know if there were lanes where you could be far enough away that like one would get in the way of the other in terms of your eye line. But like the people who were next to each other who were competing for certain spots were definitely like, it was funny to see people on the C2 bikes who were looking at each other's monitors, which has been something that's happened for years. But having the calorie counter there and knowing, okay, so I just did this gross 10-minute workout, and turns out we're within 1 or 2 calories of each other and we got 10 left. Like having to go to that place. That was the one where people were like truly tripping and falling, going over the like finish mat. So it's cool. Like you had that, like the person who was the first to the yoke never did well in the workout, which is funny. But part of that was probably them being like, I suck at handstand push-ups. I better get my ass down there. I gotta do something, right? Like you
get my ass over there.
You're gonna fucking punt it. But then you do, for everyone, you get that. You get the back down and like, okay, this is now actually an Echo bike workout. It's like separate workouts within one, which made it, I think, a little bit more digestible for people to watch. Running Isabel, the most obvious one to me that it was tested and tweaked. It was fucking perfect.
Yeah.
It was so good watching people, like the body language and the like hypoxia like of them running in the later rounds was
perfect.
Gorgeous. And it was the right weight, it was the right reps. There is still that phenomenon though that I've never been fit enough to understand, of the like, I can do 29 of these easy, but I can't do 30. I've never understood that. People who like it happened with the overhead walking lunge, just cruising and then dropping it as they go. Like, what is that? Is it like stressed out about can I finish this? Like, it's just the kind of thing where you're like, Fraser's not putting that fucking, like, that, he's not failing that, right?
Yeah.
Like that sort of thing. Or is it like you let off the gas because you can see I want to know what it is, because I've never understood. Like, you failed the final thruster, you did all of the other ones. It never looked like you were going to fail.
It was a 29 rep max, not a 30 rep max.
Right? What is that? I don't get it. But anyways, fascinating and definitely helped tell the story of, like, we haven't talked really much at all about individuals in this. Told the story of the progression of Jason Hopper, because him bursting onto the scene the year that he beat Medeiros in his first year at semifinals was like, holy shit. Like, who is this guy? Where did this guy come from? And then, ups and downs and changes throughout his career. It was very clear that he sometimes didn't make the greatest decisions on the floor. And then also very clear that he carried whatever emotion he had from the previous event, positive or negative, with him into the next one. So he, I don't know if you saw, went to failure and was like basically, whatever, first, second, third, fourth in the workout.
Yeah.
With the leader's jersey on going into the final. So it's like, is the narrative here we go again? Like, is he going to fuck up the final? Like that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then to see him knowing he did not need to win the final, drop the barbell during the lunge and like take a moment and then finish. Like, I don't know that a previous version of him would have done that. And like, people have reached out to me and been like, were you shocked that he won? And it's like, well, no. I mean, I don't know if you were one of the people. Do you remember being at that gym and seeing him do his like recovery row at like a 135 before the games one year? Oh my, dude, like he's definitely one of the ones where like I don't think the conversation about professional athletes really fits the bill and cross. Everyone wants to know, like, could fucking, Randy Moss win the CrossFit Games, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, choose your athlete. He's the version of like clearly some absurd genetics, but like has enough of the right mix of fast twitch, slow twitch. He was a wide receiver at Clemson. Like, one of the best football schools in the country. So like that level of an athlete, but then also has sort of this side of things. But for me, it's such an unknown when you know someone is struggling on the mental side and the execution side to know, right?
Yeah.
Like you always feel like,
sure.
holy shit, the sky's the fucking limit. But like you could also see them self-sabotage in perpetuity or quit at some point because they're like, I don't understand what's happening to me. Why am I not winning? Like that kind of things.
Yeah.
That the precision of how shitty running Isabel was started to help develop that narrative that then showed people, and probably showed him personally, that like it doesn't get any bigger than that.
Yeah.
Going into the final, other people in striking distance with the leader's jersey, and then in the workout that we're going to talk about now, just execute top to bottom the way that you need to.
Yeah, that workout sucks. That's such a nice, that is a, well, like you said, tested, assuming it was
people
tested,
thought it was too
retested. No, that's so good. Fucking run harder. Like, God damn it.
Sure.
That's the problem. Run
and
harder.
Also placed in the exact right part of the weekend, right?
Sure. Yeah.
The amount of fucking fatigue to all of the shit that you need, including your central nervous system.
I think you gotta assume Castro was like, what is the maximum weight that is always touch and go?
Yep.
That also forces people to run hard. You do that at 185, that's a regionals 2014 recovery jog between legless rope climbs, right? You do 135. It's like barbells, borderline negligible for these guys. It's like there's a sweet spot. Like we got to find it. Is it 100 feet? Is it 200 feet? Is it 300 feet? Whatever it is. Obviously some logistical limitations, but like, and just in that time domain, that 2 to 3 minute time domain is just like that hypoxia, that leg pump feeling. And it's just like,
and you love to see too
within
that like
a second of 10 spots.
That workout's not going to be done faster than 2.5 minutes. That's about the line.
Yeah.
So seeing a 235 and a 237 is just like, yeah, that person had to have been unwell.
Yeah. What was inside? What was in that person's blood when they finished that?
Acid.
Let me stick this needle in your quad. Tell me what's happening.
All right. Yeah, seriously. The finale, thrusters, rope climbs, overhead walking lunges. We got to bring it up. We got to talk about it again. Some of the rope climb technique was appalling.
Need all Misfit Gym Portland members to appear.
Put on a
in
fucking
Albany.
clinic.
Put on the clinic. We're going to show every
So there was an
CrossFit
athlete at our training camp in Philly that was doing something on the rope that I thought I had never seen before. And then now I see it everywhere. It's like the first time you see a Tesla and then every car that I don't know. It's weird. So what they do is they have a beautiful footlock, and then they get into this, they bring their hips to the rope, but they're in this like almost ass to grass squat. So their knees are like, and then they go hand over hand. Because typically when you see someone pulling too much and going hand over hand, foothold is trash. Right? Like that's typically what you see. And there are some people who, so the correct way would be to also stand up when you bring your hips. And there's some people that do the hybrid version, which is less egregious, where they go hand over hand while they're doing the right thing with their legs. We don't want that, but like that's a nice gray area if you're doing pretty well. And so many fucking athletes, whether it's fatigue of the weekend or that's just the way that they do them, but like really, really good athletes were doing that. And it's like, dude, you got to go like that front rack at this point becomes a grip element. Like everyone knows what like having to deal with that and some variation of Fran feels like. And the beautiful element of this is Olivia Kersetter jumped 2 spots to be on the podium with just gorgeous rope climbs.
Yeah.
Like in every way. So one of the things that you get at a high level is the athletes that do it in less pulls, right? And while from a technical standpoint, a lot of it looks right, it's really gonna gas people out. And hers were like almost exactly a 90-degree angle between her femur and her torso. So like not getting that knee all the way to the chest, not having to have that, and then stand hand, like 90 degrees, stand up, hand, and just every single time. And there were other athletes that were doing it, but that to me was like, because you could see Tia doing the squatty version.
Yeah, I'm looking at her right now.
And the view is of both of them. And it's like, no offense to Olivia. I mean, at her age, coming in third at the CrossFit Games, and her trajectory is just incredible. So hats off to her for everything that she did over the course of the weekend, how much she's improving. But Tia would and should probably beat her in that workout. I mean, that's right up her alley. Like, I guess everything's right up her alley. But just seeing, like, that's why she had to slow down. And maybe she was doing a victory lap. Like, that's one of the things we never know in those. But, like, she looked like she was hurting a little bit.
Sure.
And Olivia just kept doing what you're supposed to do on the rope. And there just shouldn't be, you saw it on the deficit handstand push-ups, but, like, again, those don't come up as often. There shouldn't be low-hanging fruit on traditional movements at that level, right? Like,
yeah, you'd think.
He should be doing this.
Were they climbing
the right
higher?
way.
Zeus
Yes, 18 feet.
Okay, yeah. Looked like everybody
feet.
needed extra pull. You don't get really a jump off those crash pads.
Right. That was one thing with Hopper, is like he knew how to use his length. Like, I think it was a 3-pole climb for him.
Advantage for sure.
Yeah, paced really well. So really cool final. Loved the 100-foot overhead walking lunge. I love seeing someone do that unbroken at that point in the weekend. I know it's not necessary and not even necessarily like the right thing to do in the workout, but man, there were a few people who just put that fucking thing over their head. Like, I don't know what it is. Danielle Brandon with overhead lunges, like, she looked like she was running. Like, people were wobbling one step at a time, gather step. She was boom, 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 like just passing people at a speed that made absolutely no sense. So cool final, really rude to go ascending rep scheme, 21 thrusters at 135 and 7 rope climbs. Definitely a good way to end the weekend, and another one where you're just like, come on. The average times on this are 9 and 11 minutes. Well, let's kick the clock back, 4 or 5 years and have people do this. And the times, none of that would look the same. So like, that's one of the reasons why I like can't quit this like thing in this sport, and what I do is so much related to like, how do they keep getting this much better? Like, and of course we're following along with how much better they're getting and trying to get our athletes, that much better. And, Paige just keeps getting better year over year, and we're trying to do that for everybody else, but it's just still blows my mind, even though it's the intention of what we're doing. You'd think that the ceiling would be lower, but it's clearly not.
Yeah. I hope they keep doing events, or maybe even include more of them that allow the casual viewer to have some sort of appreciation for like the difficulty here. I think that's one of my biggest gripes about the games in general, is that it's so difficult for an average everyday person to tune in and have any concept of what's going on. Like, you can even a back squat, it's like, it's hard to put into context how impressive the fact that, more than 10 women or more than 10 men had a 500-pound back squat, and we're also running 6.5-minute miles, not but a day earlier, squatting 350 pounds, 20 of them squatting 200 pounds or 300 pounds or more. It'd be cool that I like the events that gives the everyday person some context. The 1 mile run's the easy example, but yeah, when you see that, that's the easiest one for me to look at too. It's like the 1 rep max back squat, and in some, something like Isabel, which has context compared to, the entire, like, we're going to do Isabel at the affiliate here in a few weeks, and like, fuck, I feel like I'd be pretty happy with a 235 Isabel at 135 without the 1,000 meters of running. Mm-hmm. And these guys are, most affiliate athletes are going to lose to the games athletes in the running heavier version. And just having context for the progress of those athletes is really fucking cool.
I used to like when we would do certain variations of them, or people would watch the games and we would do them. When someone would be going, I would call out, so-and-so is done now.
Yeah, I would do that too.
One of my
Congratulations, Tia just finished.
Like,
it's like, great, I have 3 rounds to go in this 5-round workout.
I'm still on the 20 wall walks. I'm on the buy-in. Is that similar? Yes. So kind of full circle, coming back to the beginning, and I honestly don't even think I said this at the beginning now that I think of it. I haven't really enjoyed watching CrossFit in the past, and I'm going to give some context to that, because that may sound weird. When I don't have one of my athletes in it, I struggle to watch it as a sport, but I think the context was always really important. So like, I was viewing it as, I don't care about this because I don't have someone in it. And I really enjoyed watching these games basically from start to finish. And I think it was because I told myself, this is what you do. This is your job. There's a lot of context in this in terms of programming, strategy, mindset, like all of that stuff is on full display here. So like you need to watch it to gather that information. And I think that's why I potentially enjoyed it when I wouldn't have in the past, but also maybe it was just a little bit more enjoyable to watch than previous years. I'd have to go back and sort of look at that stuff to audit it a little bit. So, it's a weird time for CrossFit and for the sport in general, but I think what just took place is a step in the right direction for repair of some of those things, because it sounds like the atmosphere was pretty cool. The programming was good, a lot of young blood in the sport, a lot of, kind of unknown names to a lot of people. And like, you kind of got to feel like you have that bright future, right? Like if at any point in a sport, like I don't know if this, maybe happens in golf, because like sometimes I look at the leaderboard and I'm like, fucking whatever, Lee Westwood and Sergio Garcia are still like, what is this? What am I looking at right now?
Sure.
So like, it's cool to see those things. And then having parity on the men's side is awesome. Like, you really don't know who's going to win. Like you really felt like there were like 6 or 7 of them that had a chance when it comes to that. No, I have not addressed the fact that I said no one could beat Jeff. He didn't look great. He didn't. I wonder if too many eggs in the wrong basket, too much competing so far this year. I wonder what he doesn't strike me as the kind of guy who's going to give anyone a fucking narrative about anything. I don't think he's going to tell us.
Out of the gate hot.
But like his whole thing was he was like the strongest guy. He won the total 2020.
Maybe
and his hips looked weird in the back squat. Yeah, I'd be curious to watch his back squat at the ranch, because he looked very imbalanced, like he was squatting to one side.
Why did Roman do so bad in running Isabel?
And obviously, like, whatever. What's that?
Sorry, I'm just looking through the leaderboard at general kind of scores. I said, why did Roman do so bad at running Isabel?
I mean, you wonder, a lot of it has to do with, like, someone who thought they were going to do really well overall, sitting in whatever it is, a certain place. Like, does that have to do with it? You saw some people definitely people who just did not attack that correctly. Yeah. They went way too hot. And it always showed up in the 6th round of snatches, which was funny. 5th round of snatches.
Yeah, weird year for sure. I think for the same reason that CrossFit itself is a little bit lost right now, I think it's the same thing applies to the games, in that there's no narrative and there's no story. The story when we got into it was Rich Froning was and turned into Katrin and Frazier and Tia, and probably everybody in CrossFit, including the athletes, should be thankful that Tia was there, having like that storyline still alive and well for her, and to like unsurprisingly, win yet again.
I personally like the parody better. I like the because the narrative of the men in a lot of ways was like, there didn't used to be 10 people who could do this, and now there are.
And maybe it's not so much the fact that it's tight, it's that there's no story behind. I don't know any of these athletes. I knew Rich,
but you don't really pay attention to it either.
That's true. But I like, yeah, okay, fair enough. I feel like I've heard the narrative more of just like, there is no like, there needs to be a superhero. Like Tia's the superhero right now. There's there's no equivalent. I feel like it's the same thing when like your local team, like when trying to think about a most recent example in New England, when like, we had a sports team that was just so maybe it was the Red Sox, like when they finally like won a couple World Series, and then just like we just fell off the map. Or when maybe Brady's probably the easiest example. When Brady left, it's like, I just don't fucking care about the Patriot. I'm like the epitome of a fair weather football fan, and it was like, if Brady's throwing, like I'm watching. It's easy to say when it's the maybe the best player to have ever played, but it's like there's something that drags even like the smallest football fan to go watch like something outstanding happen. And like when that went away, it was like you think I'm gonna stop, I'm gonna tune in, I'm gonna find that illegal stream and flip on the Patriots game? No, not Brady's not playing. Who am I watching? Like I have no reason to watch.
The part of it that I would agree with is where the narratives and the storytelling is coming from is very segmented. It's coming from all these different places. And I said this to Erica and Paige on the live stream, like, the customer behavior of when HQ released a video back in the day, everyone watched it. It was the fucking talk of the town. And they finally listened and brought them back. And I don't fucking care. Like, and I want to watch them. And like, I should probably, if I'm going to be like, guys, you got to make these fucking videos. But like, it's been so long that it's like not part of my behavior.
Just kind of wore off
to watch it. And now you basically have the like really dedicated fans are going to different places, honestly, based on like potentially on like a political view or like who they are as a person.
Yeah.
And they have different narratives that are kind of there. So that part of it, I would agree with it. There isn't like a consolidated voice necessarily of what's going on. And one of the issues was like our version of that was supposed to be Adler. He doesn't want to, I don't think he wants to do any media. I don't think he's fucking interested in that. So luckily the guy who won had a narrative about him that then went away and has since come back essentially. So it could be the start of that. But like, people can't wrap their minds around why Medeiros didn't just take over and win like 8 in a row, you know? So it's like a really weird, like, it should be a good thing that a different person wins every year. But at the same time, like, dynasties and those stories, like, people, like you're saying, really latch onto that stuff.
Yeah, I watched the 30 for 30 on when Wayne Gretzky got traded from Edmonton to Los Angeles. Talk about a dynasty. Then just fucking meltdown.
So crazy.
Great. I didn't really know all the context in the background to that, but that was a super
I've watched so many YouTube
story.
videos about there's one about when he got traded to the Blues and how much of a psycho egomaniac the guy was who was running that team.
Yeah.
Really fascinating. Total side tangent. If you give Wayne Gretzky 0 goals in his career, he is still the all-time points leader in NHL history.
What? Just that many assists?
He has that many assists.
Nuts.
Yeah. 0 goals, still more points than everyone. That's so fucked.
That's hilarious.
So crazy. Yep. Well, people are wondering if the same thing's about to happen. Because if McDavid says, you guys aren't, like, you can't just give me Leon. Like, I need,
Don't
like,
do
a
it
team.
Again.
But, like, if it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't. Like, it happens in sports where the team's like, no, we're not trading this person at the trade deadline, and then they sign somewhere else the next year, and they get nothing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's interesting. It's funny. You hear him talk about Edmonton. They're like, what do you like about it? He's like, it's like a month out of the year where you're warm. Sounds like he really fucking loves it.
Really selling it there.
Send him on down to L.A. Repeat the cycle.
That would be fucking insane.
It would. It would.
Of all the places to go, especially
right?
Now.
Yeah,
Los
seriously.
Angeles, that would be.
All right. Yeah, that's an hour and 52 minutes of CrossFit Games.
Fuck.
Yeah. Little programming recap there. I want to do, this might need to be a separate video, but I do want to like show people, like, I wonder, send me a DM, talk about this in Telegram, whatever. If I showed you guys how I would use this to program, can I get like 200 views? You know what I mean? Like, what's worth it for me to sit down and screen share and show you guys what I would do with this information? Kind of content that I've always wanted to do, but it felt like, fuck.
It's definitely niche.
Yeah.
Say the
We're
least,
already niche enough.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll just do it for myself. So yeah, nice long podcast about the games and how we look at these things and all that good stuff. I'm sure we'll get back to our regularly scheduled programming next week. Anything else, Hunter?
Negative.
Did we do it?
Chia.
Thank you for tuning into another episode of the Misfit Podcast. Please head to the link in bio on our Instagram to get signed up for our programs on Strivey or Fitter. Or if you're looking for affiliate programming, you can head to teammisfit.com, click on the sign up now button, and you get 2 weeks for free at Push Press, Sugar WOD, or StreamFit. See you next week.
Later.
Misfits!
All right, you ragtag bunch of misfits.
You're a scrappy little misfit, just like me.
Biggest bunch of misfits I ever set eyes on.